What is up, team? I am back from my hiatus that I didn't know I was taking, and I didn't tell you guys about. What I mean by that was I went on a rotation to Poland. Yep. So the difference between a rotation and a deployment, really, in the traditional sense, is that when people think deployment, they're thinking combat zones, right? I didn't go to a combat zone. I'm not gonna give myself false credit. I went to rotation where we sat there and did like big training events with other countries. We worked with the British, the Germans, Canadians, and the Polish, all of which was pretty fun, I would say, in my opinion. Though there were parts of Poland that did suck, like the town being 45 minutes away. The taxi drivers were like they were telling us to pay them like $100 to drive us 45 minutes, and that was like a one-way trip. And then the weather was trash. It was like cold and wet almost the whole time. If you're Polish, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shit talk you guys. I'm just expressing how it went for me. Anyways, the cool things about Poland, though, like I was in the middle of nowhere. I got paid more, and I didn't have anything to blow my money on, so I just had a pretty good savings. So, without further ado, story time, right? Now, while we were in Poland, we had several training events that we had to do, and me being a cavalry scout, we had a certain training that we had to do, which was driving up a certain route and dropping out troops, letting them set up OPs, engage their targets, and then we, the crew members, would drive our Bradley to another area and then engage more targets. Now, we did these iterations for like 3 days, and we did several iterations a day, so the brass was really stacking up. We also did that at night. And our last iteration we did was at night. Because of it being at night, they were like, hey, we're going to do range detail tomorrow. And we're like, Roger. So next day rolls around. I'm on the range detail list. I go out. I think it's like 6 o'clock in the morning when we got ready to head out there. We get there and we sit for 2-ish hours, maybe 3 if I'm really pushing it. And then we finally get cleared to go on the range. So we're like, cool. We start walking along this range, picking up all the brass and stuff from the exercise before. And as we're doing that, we see this little white pickup truck, like, zooming, like, beeline straight to us. And we're like, this is odd. And truck stops, and this little Polish guy hops out, starts screaming at us in Polish. And I was, like, sitting there. I'm not sure what he's saying, because I don't speak Polish. I mean, I speak very, very little Polish. Like, I know one word, I think. I'm really pushing it, and that's like Dzień dobry, and I think that's good morning, or like hello. I'm not entirely sure, or thank you, something like that. And so the point being is there's a language barrier, and no one that I was with was speaking Polish, minus the one dude that pulled up and started yelling at us. Well, eventually we get it figured out that he's trying to tell us to get off the range. So we're like, all right, cool. You know, the Polish do control this range. They can tell us to get off whenever they want. So we start packing everything up, and we get the brass loaded, the dudes loaded, and we start cruising, and we get like 400 meters away from where we were just at. And no shit, we see a mortar round like impact right where we were standing. And we're like, what the fuck? And we're all looking at each other in the back of the LMTV, all confused. Like, did that just happen? And we end up stopping right at the tower, and we're talking to like Big Sarn, like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh, apparently they're doing Mortep. And I was like, huh, gee, couldn't tell, because the Mortep, for you guys that don't know, and I'm pretty sure, I could be mistaken if I'm wrong, and there's any 11 Charlies in here, go ahead and correct me, I suppose. And what I think the Mortep is like their big like training. It's like the equivalent of gunnery for the scouts. It's like they show, that's where they like really show their skills and that they know what they're doing. But so the reason they were doing their Mortep the day we were doing range details, because they were supposed to do it at the same time, but our danger areas were overlapping, so Mortep couldn't happen, so they had to wait for us to do our exercises, and then they just pick up. Well, I guess it was never pushed out that we didn't finish the range detail, so while we were out there cleaning up the ranges, they're thinking the range is hot, and so they're good at fire. And we're thinking range is cold because no one told us that they were doing Mortep. So yeah, point being of the story is communication is key. If you don't, you might blow up your friend, which is a very unfortunate series of events. Luckily, I didn't get blown up, but it was quite the experience, I will say. I did end up talking to my buddy who is an 11 Charlie afterwards. I was like, "Hey man, what's going on earlier?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Did you go to the range today?" He's like, "Yeah, we were doing more tap." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "What time did you guys start shooting?" He's like, "Oh, like 10:30, 10, something like that." And I was like, "Oh, cool, man." You almost blew me up. And in the end, we ended up just laughing about it. Granted that he just almost blew me up, which would have been quite the odd experience if I say so myself. I mean, I don't think that would have been a fun conversation to have with anybody. But fun fact, if you guys didn't know, I read somewhere, so I might be a little wrong. But most accidents and deaths occur like in training, as opposed to like actual combat. Now, how accurate that statement is, I'm not sure, because I did see it in a little thing I was reading the other day. I feel like it's pretty true, because with training, no one anticipates it being real with quotes around it. So we kind of get a little complacent, I'd say, and kind of push the safety things off to the side and carry on. That's at least what I think. I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyways, guys, that is all I have for you today. I'm sorry it's a short video. I will make it up to you guys by pushing out a longer video later on. If there is anything specific you guys want to know or insight on anything, let me know. I will go ahead and make a video on it. And yeah, as far as that goes, that's all I have for you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, I don't know. It's up to you guys. Outside of that, Private Foobar, signing off.